wrong for kicking my husband out of the delivery room after he started crying? My husband, Kevin, male 31, and I, female 27, welcomed our first baby a week ago. Kevin is the type of person that gets stressed out easily and reacts to events negatively. We've had conversation about his ability to handle being in the delivery room. I said if he couldn't be there, it was fine, seeing how he reacts under pressure and can have mom there instead. He said he could 100% handle anything and promised to be supportive and positive. I went into labor alone. He met me at the hospital, and when he entered the room, he looked so stressed out and overwhelmed already. He started moving around periodically, completely ignoring me. He got more visibly stressed when my pain got intense. He took my hand when I started having contractions and kept clutching it, almost stopping blood circulation. My entire arm went numb. I felt strain, and although I was in intense pain, I saw his face. It was so red, and there was a visible vein in his forehead that looked like it was ready to blow up. It was not helpful at all, in fact. It was frustrating and affected my emotions negatively. But still, I was willing to suck it up. Then suddenly, he started crying. Like literally sobbing really loud. I found myself screaming, telling him to stop several times, and as a result, he literally yelled back in my ear. The nurse got involved. I told her to get him out of here. He tried to argue with me, but wasn't given a chance and was pressured to leave the room. I didn't see him afterwards after our daughter was born, and while I was resting, he didn't show up. His mom kept calling to see where he was. She stayed with me, and I haven't seen him till the day I was discharged. We had a big fight at home. He kept lashing out when I said how bad it was for him to ghost me when I needed him the most. He said I shouldn't expect him to stick around after cruelly and selfishly kicking him out of the room and robbed him an opportunity to see our daughter's first breath. I explained he was causing me to panic with how he was crying, but he accused me of making up excuses after I was purely at fault for kicking him out and getting the staff to gang up on him no matter how hard I try to spin it. He said as a dad, he should have the liberty to be in the room no matter how he behaves and whether I like it or not. I got tired of arguing and I told him to stop, and he said he will, but he will never forget what I've cost him that day, and walked out. I was so mad and took time to cool off. Then when I unpacked my bag, I found a small box that contained a necklace with our daughter's name. I felt awful knowing Kevin left it for me to wear at the hospital, but the argument happened and he spent the entire time in the car in the hospital's parking lot. Am I wrong for ruining my boyfriend's birthday party? My boyfriend just turned 30 and had a big party to celebrate it. I hadn't been feeling well the last couple of weeks leading up to it, but I was determined to make his birthday a great one. Due to my job and financial reasons, I haven't been able to take many days off, so I scheduled a doctor's appointment in the morning of his birthday so I could celebrate in the evening. I found out that I was pregnant during the appointment and was ecstatic. We've been trying for a baby for 6 years, and I thought this would be the perfect present for him. When I got home, there were a few people already there for the party. I asked my boyfriend if we could speak in private, and he ignored me. I asked again, and he told me that if it was so important, I could just wait 5 minutes while he talked to his friends. So I just told him. He got extremely mad and started yelling in my face about how I was trying to ruin his day. What? He got extremely mad and started yelling in my face about how I was trying to ruin his day and that today was supposed to be about him and not me. Oh, this is gonna be your baby daddy, I'm sorry. He told all of the people there to leave and messaged everybody else not to come because I ruined the day. He then stormed out the house and still hasn't come back. I'm still so shocked and confused. He was so excited to try for a baby, but his reaction made no sense. My mom says that while it was a great surprise, I probably should have waited as it was his day. So, am I the asshole? Am I wrong for refusing to see other options for a girl and pressing charges for what she had done to my son's car? My 39 male, son 17 male, Bryce dated our neighbor Lana 17 female for a year. They broke up mid-January for reasons I don't know. I won't sugarcoat this, I never liked Lana. She always seems a little unhinged, controlling, and aggressive. She's always demanding Bryce's attention, and there was quite a few times when she showed up to our house out of nowhere. Whether it was 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. because Bryce wasn't answering his phone, screaming and calling him a cheater when it wasn't like that. The thought of our son getting abused by his girlfriend made us worry so much. My wife and I tried to talk him out of that relationship. We said how it wasn't normal nor healthy. We didn't want to force the breakup because we feared Lana would lash out on him, so we tried to do it in a sneaky way. We don't know if it worked, but they ended up breaking up. He said that after he broke up with Lana, she didn't contact him, which was weird because she expected her to go nuts, but I told him that if fate didn't give him shit, he better not tease it. Now, the problem is that we bought my son a car for Christmas. Nothing fancy, just enough to get him to school, his job, and eventually college. He parks it in our driveway outside our home. Ever since the month began, we had been finding scratches all over the car. We knew Lana was doing this, but since it was minimal, my son decided not to do anything, even if we could prove that it was her. We have CCTV. Still, something felt bad to me, so I decided to switch one of the cameras facing his car directly just in case. Well, 2 weeks ago, we got up and we found my son's car covered in a lot of shit. Paint, glue, feathers, confetti, the door handles were wrecked, flat tires, paint all over the windows, you get the picture. Bryce and my wife were so distraught. We called the police and handed them the CCTV of Lana and her brother, 23 male, destroying my son's car. We pressed charges and needless to say, Lana's brother went straight to jail. But since she's still a minor, her parents want to make a deal, but I refused. I don't think she should get a way out. Before the police was here, she was laughing her ass off and she tried to play it cool. If she thought this was funny, then she's old enough to face the consequences. My wife and I want to stand our ground, but her parents say they'll buy my son a better car and put Lana in therapy, but it's not enough. So, am I the asshole? Am I wrong for paying for another bride's wedding dress, but not my daughter's? My husband and I worked hard and managed to become financially secure adults after both of us grew up in poverty. We raised our children to work hard. We did not spoil them or provide them with a lavish life. As teens, they all had part-time jobs, but we did purchase them their own used cars, which they were required to maintain. We also paid for college and we paid for our oldest 2 kids' weddings. However, we were merely the ones paying and we did not provide any input or suggestions unless asked. The only thing we didn't pay for their weddings was our son's tuxedo and our oldest daughter's wedding dress. Our youngest daughter, Michaela, is engaged and we are paying for her wedding with the exception of her dress. She must buy her own wedding dress. Michaela invited her dad and I to watch her try on dresses with the bridal party. She found a beautiful dress in her budget and we were so honored to have been allowed to take part in her finding the dress and seeing herself as a bride. Hey, I really like these parents. They sound really dope. While there, I complimented another bride on a dress she was wearing and her mother and I struck up a conversation where I learned that the family was low income and both the bride and groom and the bride's parents had taken out loans to have a beautiful wedding. I 100% disagree with people who have to take out loans to have weddings. Don't have the wedding. Have a party in your house. Go hurrah, buy a cheap white dress from like Ross or something, but you should never take out loans. That's how the system destroys us because society has brainwashed us into thinking that you have to have this lavish lifestyle wedding. Why would you put yourself into debt over one night? Like, why? The bride is also plus sized, and I learned that she had been to 6 different stores and there had only been a few options for her size, and all of them had just been awful. The bride ended up falling in love with the last dress she tried on, but was heartbroken to learn that the consultant had misread the price tag and the dress was actually $1,000 over budget. And with alterations to make it her size, it was another $1,400. The bride took the dress off and said she'd try to find something online. I grew up poor and I was also a chubby kid. I was bullied and I was very unhappy. I always wanted more, and in this bride I saw myself, and I didn't want her to have to settle for a dress that fit versus a dress that she loved. So while my daughter was changing, I asked the other bride if I could pay the difference on her dress. It was very emotional. We all held each other and cried. She accepted. See, that's such a nice gesture though. Like, that is really sweet. I very happily paid the difference on her dress. Her mother, herself, and I are now friends on Facebook, and my husband and I have been invited to the wedding, which we will gladly attend. I felt very honored to have been allowed to help this girl in a very small way, but being invited to her wedding was so unexpected and amazing. When Michaela found out about this, she threw a fit and said that I obviously had shown how I truly feel about her wedding and herself, and if I cared at all, I'd have paid for her dress too. She's now not speaking to me or her father, who didn't even have a hand in this, which is unfair. She has now uninvited us from the wedding. We're so hurt and confused. Was I an asshole?